Are your ulcerative colitis symptoms proving difficult to manage? Tremfya guselkumab can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. At 1 year, many patients taking Tremfya achieved clinical remission, and some patients also achieved endoscopic remission. Individual results may vary. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor if Tremfya can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Support for this podcast comes from Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer. We've all made mistakes on the water, but there's one mistake you shouldn't make: being uninsured. With Progressive Boat Insurance, you can choose coverage for most mistakes you or other boaters could make, helping you float carefree all season long. Quote today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. #1 rating based on boat market share data from ratefilings.com.
Don't ever be afraid of being too much. Not everyone will like you. I'm not saying go out and be obnoxious, be over the top, shove your energy on other people. That's gross. Have some discernment. But if all you're doing is showing up as yourself, that's everything. Not everyone will like you. And that is okay. If you're too loud, you're too driven, you're too emotional, you're too opinionated. Girl, I have been told it all. And I know because I have tested the waters and I spent so many years in this business trying to figure out how to just be well liked by everybody. And it is actually impossible. It is so impossible. And the reality is, the less I showed up as myself, the less impact I was able to have. Hey guys, it's Rach. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. And I have a favor, which sounds kind of harsh if we just met, but I'm assuming that most of you have been a part of this community for a hot minute. And so I gotta ask, are you subscribed to the podcast? Subscribing to the podcast you listen to regularly is one of the best things that you can do for hosts like me. It helps to support the show and the staff that works on it. It ensures that you never miss an episode when we drop a new one. And here's the cool thing about subscribing. If you do it and then you hate this show, just unsubscribe. It's one click away. In the meantime, if you're listening, we would so appreciate it if you would just tap that button and make it official. Hi guys, it's Rach. Welcome to another episode of the show and kicking off a little something new for our summer season. I'm not like theming it with like graphics and a whole, but I am thinking of Friday episodes henceforth as Fun Friday. Whenever I go to Hawaii, you always hear the guys on the radio, the girls on the radio, the DJs will always be like, oh, it's Aloha Friday. And it's just this sort of spirit and energy of like, today's going to be fun because it's Friday. That is the intention I'm bringing into Friday episodes. Something light, something kind of like Rach Talk back in the day, but not so many topics. If you know, you know. But today I wanted to kick it off with something that I just think is so relevant no matter what age you are. And that is stuff I've stopped caring about. I've just stopped caring about things I used to care about so much. Part of that is being in my 40s. Part of that is perimenopause. Part of that is just like living through a lot of hard stuff that I'm just like, I cannot carry this along with everything else. So I thought I'd share some stuff that I'm just like, I only have so many craps to give and I just can't give a crap, you know? And this is part pep talk, part, maybe it's a permission slip if you need one, or I hope to just make you chuckle. Whatever you get out of this episode today, just know that my intention was we're going to have a good time. We're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it fun. And we're going to talk about things I am so glad I stopped caring about. We're jumping right into the fray, right into the list. This one's going to be really specific if you are my age or older. And if you're not, like, here's a little glimpse of the future. I have stopped caring about the fact that I am a little crazier than normal because I'm in perimenopause. I've stopped caring. I haven't stopped trying. I haven't stopped balancing my hormones. I haven't stopped taking my supplements and doing my regular blood tests and making sure everything's on the up and up. But y'all, I cannot feel any more guilt about the fact that I have mood swings. I've tried for years to be perfectly balanced and I don't know how to do that. I have 4 kids. I have a full-time job. I've got a husband. I've got a lot going on in life. I say that just in case any of you have some feelings, have some maybe self-recrimination about your moods going up and down. And at least for me, when I experience days where I have some pretty severe mood swings, when I get on the other side of it and I feel, quote, normal again, I'm also kind of embarrassed. Like, I'm embarrassed that I couldn't keep myself together. I'm embarrassed that I got so low that I was like crying. And then I got so angry that I was like mad at my husband. And I have tried. And the alternative, I actually said this to Kez the other day. I was like, the alternative is like, I have to move out for 4 days a month, which, let's be honest, would probably be really delightful. Like, if you just got to go to a hotel for 4 days a month during your most hormonal part of your cycle, you just got to bounce. And then nobody had to get your negative energy and you didn't have to try and keep it in check. The only person you interacted with was like the room service attendant. Like, that might actually be the solution for us all. But it's costly, and then you're like abandoning your kids, whatever. But I realized that I needed to make peace with how I felt about the fact that my hormones do fluctuate so much, and that, my stomach might look like one thing on one day of the month, and then 8 days later, I look like I'm 4 months pregnant. And I'm just, you know what it is? I'm doing my best. That is where I've gotten to. When I first started perimenopause, I thought, well, I can perfectly figure out the equation to manage this and not have it affect me. And I don't know what that is. I don't know that that's possible. And yeah, so I'm just like, we're going to do the very best that we can. And we're not going to beat ourselves up when things are a little wild. I actually had a doctor's appointment 2 days ago because of this reason, like because my mood swings are back and I was so annoyed. And I was talking to the doctor. I'd had blood work done. I do it like every 6 months. And, she's going through the blood work and she's like, okay, well, this is elevated and this is low and this is this and this is that. And because of those things, it stands to reason that you would have a hard time not getting angry. It would be the same as feelings of PMS. She's like, this is super normal. So we go through this whole thing and we're talking about, okay, we're going to, do this supplement. I really honestly got on that call thinking I was going to do HRT, but I try as hard as I can to not take any medicine. I'm using air quotes. I try to not take any medicine. And there were some things she was like, why don't we just see if we can get these things balanced out and see if it'll help your mood? Like over the counter stuff, like let's try that, which we've tried probably 6 times. But because I could see very clearly what was low and what was high, and I could see that, okay, if we could balance these things, that will feel better. That made me think like, okay, let's try one more thing before we go to HRT. I'm not against HRT at all. I just like am trying really hard to not have to do it if I don't need to. All of that to say, we get to the end of this call and it's virtual. Like I'm not sitting with her in person, but she's like, Rachel, before we get off the phone, I just want you to hear me say I sit with women all day long and have these same conversations. And I want you to hear me say, you are not crazy. This is all super normal. And it sucks. And I was like, thank you. Honestly, I did not know how much I needed to hear someone just tell me, like, it's not you. It's not like you're doing this wrong. Maybe that's the high achiever in me, but like, you're not doing this wrong. You're just like, it is what it is. This is where we're at. I do have to apologize to my kids or my husband on occasion for acting like a Looney Tune. And it's not that I don't care that I'm like not my very best, but I just, at some point, I'm just going to stop beating myself up. So I just made the decision. I'm like, I can't care about this anymore. So if you need permission to keep doing your best, but not beat yourself up for whatever is happening because of perimenopause, or let's just throw it in there, because of hormones in any capacity. If you're going through IVF, if you're pregnant, if your hormones are wackadoo and you are doing your best, but your hormones are wackadoo, that's all you need. And everybody else in your life needs to just, there's a moment you're going to have to steer clear, honey. Just stay away from me for a minute, and then I'm going to calm myself down and I'm going to be better. So that's the first thing on my list of things I've stopped caring about. Remember, we're going to choose grace over perfection. We're going to do our best, and that needs to be enough. I would love to be stable 24/7. My hormones said no. So I'm like, all right, we're going to take what we're given. We're going to make the best of it. So that's number one. I have stopped caring about the fact that my hormones make me a little crazy. Second thing I've stopped caring about, this one, honestly, I stopped caring about a while ago, but I'm mentioning it here because I think it's something a lot of people need to hear. I do not care what other parents think about my parenting. Frankly, I don't care what anyone thinks about my parenting except my children. That's it. That's the only judge of my parenting is my kids. And I know you guys are similar to me. I know a lot of you have fallen into that trap of like, first of all, thinking that other people are judging you. They're probably not. Like, we're all so busy. We're all struggling. We're all trying to keep our head above water. I don't think that everyone's sitting around being like, I cannot believe that Kelly forgot it was purple shirt day and sent her baby to school without a purple shirt on. I really don't think that other parents do that, because I think other parents are like, yo, like, I forgot blue shirt day, so it's fine. But we come up with this whole list in our head of all the ways we're falling short, and then we believe that other people are picking it up. And that is just a losing game. That does not help you. Because even if you try and fake it till you make it, and even if you try and be like all the other parents at school, drop off and show up in every way, if it's not authentic to you, it's just going to make you bitter. When my oldest kids were little, I tried that all the time. I tried to volunteer in the school classroom. I can't stress enough how much I appreciate the parents who volunteer in the school classroom. It is my nightmare. I hate it. In fact, there are times where the schools are like, we really need parent volunteers. And I'm like, I got you, sis. We're in war. I'm your ally. Let's go. You need someone to show up. I'm going to show up. But if you have the volunteers, if there are other parents that are fully willing and excited to do that job, I am good to bring cookies for the bake sale. Like, I will donate money. I'll do anything to not have to go volunteer with other people's children. I know that sounds so mean. I love kids, but I don't want to rearrange my work schedule or the very little time that I have without my children at home to go hang out with them at school. I'm sorry. You're like, oh, you're such a jerk. You're terrible. Okay, cool. Because my kids are awesome. And we're super close. And yes, they act like punks sometimes. And yes, they get in trouble at school sometimes, but they're really good kids. And the only reason that I was showing up in the classroom back in the day was because of other moms. And incidentally, it's worth mentioning that when I would go into those situations and I would show up with the other moms, it was some of the cattiest, most passive-aggressive comments that I ever got in parenting were in those situations. I'm not saying all moms. Like, there are so many incredible parents who are so supportive of other parents, but it just so happens that at the school we were at when my boys were little, there was this whole like mafia of moms who ran the school. I mean, you know that movie Bad Moms? And Christina Applegate plays the parent, like the head of the PTA. And it seems like this whole satire. It's not satire. You and I both know those people exist. Some of us are dealing with them on the regular. Visiting South Dakota was always one of my someday things. Like, well, someday I'm going to go see the Dakotas, and someday I'm going to walk through Badlands National Park, and someday I'm going to see Mount Rushmore in person. And then a couple summers ago, I just made someday today, and it was awesome. The kids and I had the most amazing time. We went hiking. We saw Mount Rushmore, which is like shockingly more majestic than you think it would be. We had amazing dinners. We stayed in this awesome log cabin in a national park. It was truly one of our favorite family vacations. And I loved it because it was this great blend of seeing a part of the U.S. I'd never seen before and being outside in nature. So maybe it's time you turn someday into today. See why there's so much South Dakota and so little time. Plan your escape at travelsouthdakota.com. If you've ever learned about nutrition in a way that you didn't know before, and suddenly you're way more thoughtful about what your food is made with, what's on the back of the label, it can be really confusing when you're first starting out to understand what means what you should buy for your family, and what you should leave at the store. Well, now you can spend less time at the grocery store thanks to Thrive Market, your new go-to online grocery store for getting all of your healthy essentials delivered. With over 1,000 harmful ingredients banned from their store, Thrive Market's team of product researchers do the hard work so you don't have to spend all of your time trying to figure out what is in the food you are ordering. Finding better options for your whole family is super easy with Thrive Market's Healthy Swap Scanner. You can scan a product you already have, and it instantly recommends healthier items. Ready to make the switch? Go to thrivemarket.com/Rach for 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/Rach. thrivemarket.com/Rach. So there was this whole group of moms who like ran this school. And they were so hardcore, and they like were always out front at school drop-off and pickup and hanging out, and they ran everything. And I felt so judged by them. They would make these like snarky comments about like being a working mom and like, oh, we missed you at the blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, we never see you. And like, it's so passive aggressive and it's so rude. And I'm like, yeah, sorry. Like, I have to work. It's so gross because, side note, I'm not going to get on the soapbox right now, but let me slide over. Like, it's like this soapbox is 1 inch high. You know, we're not going to do a whole thing right now. But do you think those moms ever said anything to my children's father? Never. They never said anything to the daddies. It was always the other moms. So I broke down. I wasn't as strong back then. This was like, 13 years ago. And I wasn't as confident in myself. I wasn't as grounded. So I let their little snipey comments get to me, and I started volunteering. And I remember one day, I've told you all this story before, but I remember going to volunteer in the classroom, And I was coming from the office and I had meetings that afternoon. So I had like built it into my day. I go volunteer. They didn't tell us what we were volunteering for. They were just like, we need parent helpers. And I show up and it was a day they were making mountains out of like red clay. And I was wearing a taupe blazer and like a taupe colored top. And I was just like, oh crap. Okay, here we go. Like I'll move carefully. I'll hang the blazer up on the back of a chair. I'll like do this, whatever. But the other mom who was there was like, oh my God, who wears that to volunteer? Like you're gonna, and she was just like, quote unquote, joking with me, but like totally shaming me for wearing the wrong outfit to volunteer. I'm like, I am here, lady. Like it just was never enough. All of that is why I got to this place. I realized many years ago that the only judge of my parenting had to be my kids. And so I started to have conversations with them in the same way that you would at a workplace. I mean, I guess that's the entrepreneur in me, but I was like, how am I doing? You know, I'd sit down with them individually. Hey, how am I doing? And they'd be like, what? I'm like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most awesome parenting you can possibly imagine, and 1 being like a turtle. Like, how am I doing as a parent? And each kid graded me. And guess what? If you ask this question, they're really honest, but it's not like anyone was like 3. Like my ratings were all between 8 and 10. So that was great. And then they'd tell me, and I would always follow it up with, okay, what would I need to do to get to a 10? You want to see your kid's face light up? Ask them that question. What would I need to do to be a better mama? They will tell you exactly what they need. Exactly what they need. One kid was like, I wish that we could spend more time together, just the 2 of us, which makes sense. In a family of 4 kids, you want that alone time. Another kid was like, I like when you do this. I like when you do that. I wish this would happen. And I was like, okay, I got it. And now you have this punch list, very easy to figure out how you show up for your kids in a better way. But they're the only judge of how I'm doing as a parent. And if the other parents don't get it, it's because they don't live our life. This is a big one all the time. People will be at an event for the kids and someone will make a comment. So like, for instance, one of my son plays sports, and when we would come to games, they don't mean it. I don't assume that they mean it in a mean way, but parents will still say like, oh, we haven't seen you at the games, whatever. A couple of things that they don't know. They don't know, number one, that when we come to the games, it makes my son feel more nervous. He's really working on some new stuff. He played a new position this year. He doesn't actually like it. It makes him more nervous. So we very carefully pick and choose which games we go to because that's what he's asked of us. He feels like he plays better if he's not nervous. And right now, what matters to him more is being a great baseball player than having us in the stand. And side note, not an ad, but do y'all know the Game Changer app? I think you do. Like, if you have a kid in sports, you know Game Changers. So like, literally last night we watched his playoff game on the big screen all night long in our living room from the Game Changer app. Because if you're not familiar, it's an app, and the parents put up a camera behind home plate. So you're literally watching the whole game, and it's really cool because on his team, there are 2 parents who do play-by-play announcing. This should be an SNL skit, by the way. These 2 are so hilarious and such good announcers that we truly watched it for hours last night. But we weren't there because it was the playoffs. We got to go to last week. Last week was a playoff game. Now this was another playoff, and okay, cool. You got it. You get to do you. So number one, those parents who make comments about why we're not there don't understand why. Number 2, I have 4 kids. Do you know how many school events we get to go to for 4 kids? I have 4 kids at 3 different schools. So it's not even like, oh, this school knows that school. No, There's a lot going on. So if we're not at this event, we're probably at another kid's event. But parents don't know that. So they're like, they're making like, oh, cool, you have one kid and he plays baseball and you're here every game. Like, that's not our story. But I could get really fired up. I could try and explain it to them. Yeah, we were at his brother's like theater performance and we couldn't make it all the way across town. Or I could just be like, well, they probably think I suck as a baseball mom. And that's cool. Because my kid's super happy and we have a commitment to each other. Me and him. Whatever the other like baseball parents think of us, our family's over here thriving. My point in all of this is that some of y'all, and I'm talking to like past Rach, some of y'all are putting all your parenting energy into what the public thinks of your parenting. Some of the worst parents I've ever met, I'm going to say it, capital W, worst parents I've ever encountered in my childhood, in my adult life, were people who pretended to be perfect parents for the public and were actually garbage behind the scenes. You and I both know people like that. That we know well enough to know that behind the scenes, they're neglecting those kids, or behind the scenes, they are doing this, that, and the other thing. They're never home. They're too hard on the kids. We all know those people. I'm sure you grew up around those people. Maybe your parents were those people. But what matters more? Obviously, the actual parenting and the actual interaction with the children that you have, not what other people think of it. Parenting is exhausting, straight up. I don't care if you have one kid. Parenting is exhausting. And if you are taking your precious energy and spending it on what other people think of how you are parenting, you're missing the point. You're missing the boat. You're going to do all the wrong things. And you're going to wonder why you don't have a relationship with your kids, or you're going to wonder why your kid is struggling when, man, on the outside, everything looks so great. You have to stop caring about what other people think of how you parent. You need to start focusing on, am I showing up as a parent? Am I making good choices? Am I learning and growing and evolving in this way, in this space, in this skill set, the same way that I try to do in other areas of my life? We did not come onto this planet knowing how to be great parents in 2025. We might have had some maternal instincts, some paternal instincts, but you didn't know how to parent in this generation. So don't assume that you know it all. Let's keep working on it. Let's keep growing. Let's keep evolving in this way that we pursue other parts of our life. And let's not give a rat's patootie what someone else thinks of how we're doing that.
Hi there, it's Andy Richter, and I'm here to tell you about my podcast, The 3 Questions with Andy Richter. Each week, I invite friends, comedians, actors, and musicians to discuss these 3 questions. Where do you come from? Where are you going? And what have you learned? New episodes are out every Tuesday with guests like Julie Bowen, Ted Danson, Tig Notaro, Will Arnett, Phoebe Bridgers, and more. You can also tune in for my weekly Andy Richter Call-In Show episodes, where me and a special guest invite callers to weigh in on topics like dating disasters, bad teachers, and lots more. Listen to The 3 Questions with Andy Richter wherever you get your podcasts.
When living with cancer, it's important to be informed and know what to expect. But finding the right information can feel overwhelming. That's why UnderstandCancerTogether.com is here to help. We've gathered practical information and resources based on where you are in your cancer journey, so that you can focus on the important conversations and decisions of today. UnderstandCancerTogether.com, helping you navigate life with cancer, one moment at a time.
Number 3, third thing I've stopped caring about, being too much. Saying things like rat's patootie. I mean, I have this moment before I say these weird, random sayings I grew up hearing that I'm like, this is a crazy thing. And then I'm like, you know what? Just say it. Because somewhere out there, someone's driving to work and maybe your ridiculousness made them laugh. Just the idea that we would shrink ourselves, our personality, our joy, our passion, our excitement, our energy, our enthusiasm, like any of it, that we would shrink that to fit more neatly inside a box that someone else created is so sad. And so many of us do it. Owning your energy is a superpower. It's also a skill. Because if you were raised to be demure, if you were raised to be a good boy, if you were raised to be a good girl, if you were raised to show up in a certain way that went along with your culture, your society, your religion, your whatever, if you were raised in a certain standard for how you show up, it is very difficult to break out of that mold. So freaking difficult. But it's also like, y'all, we get one chance at this life. One chance. And the reality is, you can fail at your goals and your dreams by following the rules. You can put yourself in the box and do everything you're supposed to do and check every check mark and still fail at what you're trying to do. The alternative is you show up in the space as yourself, right? You show up as yourself with your whole heart. And even if you fail, at least you failed as who you are. I was thinking this last night, actually, because we were watching the finals of this baseball game. And I was watching all these kids bat. They're up to bat. And my son has played baseball since he was like 4, and he's now 16. So it's a very long time that I've been watching kids on his team up at bat. But it's getting more competitive now, right? We're in high school. The pitches are coming faster. It's more intense. And if you've ever watched anyone at bat in baseball, you know that they're trying to judge whether or not the ball is going to be a strike. If you've never seen baseball, I am not the person to explain it to you. But a pitcher's pitching over home plate. There's a certain, imagine an invisible box. It's a strike zone. If it goes over the strike zone, it's a strike. You get 3 of those and you're out. But if the ball is outside the strike zone, it's potentially a ball. And if you get 4 balls, you don't swing at them and they're outside the strike zone, you get 4 balls, you could walk, meaning you get to first base, you didn't have to do anything. And I'm sure it's not like this in the major leagues, but when they're in high school or junior high or whatever, they're a lot more cautious about where the ball is going because the pitchers aren't always amazing. Usually there's like 1 or 2 great pitchers on a team, but over the course of a game, especially if you're in the playoffs, you're going to have people pitching who aren't the most amazing pitchers of all time. So kids will come up to bat and they're trying to judge if the ball is going to be a ball or a strike. So if it's going to be a ball, they don't swing. Now, sometimes it's like obviously a ball, way too high, way too outside. And so they just keep that bat right on their shoulder. They don't have to do anything. Other times it's too close to tell. They don't swing and it ends up being a strike. Sometimes this goes really awry because they keep the bat on their shoulder. They don't swing. It ends up being a strike and they accidentally strike out. Here's what I was thinking. Because you know me, I'm always looking for a life lesson in basically everything. I thought there is no shame in swinging as hard as you can at a strike. No shame. There's a guy on Sawyer's team last night who just swung his heart out. Just freaking swung. And he's an incredible hitter. And when he makes contact with the ball, it's out of the park. Like it's gone. And he came up to bat. He didn't hesitate, man. He swung as hard as he can. And I'm sure a lot of athletes and baseball players and kids, whoever, would strike out and beat themselves up. But as far as I'm concerned, if that ball was looking like a strike, there is no shame in swinging as hard as you can at it. Now, there's certainly mistakes to be made when you swing as hard as you can at a ball. When you realize that you put all your energy and all your effort into something that actually wasn't really aligned, wasn't the right fit, wasn't the right choice. But when it seems like, ooh, this is a thing, you better swing for the fences. The alternative is you're so busy hesitating on what the right move is, you don't make one. Right? You're so busy like, was it a ball? Was it a strike? I'm not going to swing, then it's a strike. That's embarrassing. This brilliant opportunity, this moment to show up with your whole being, and you don't take the shot. I know I'm mixing like metaphors, sports, whatever. You get my point. Don't ever be afraid of being too much. Be afraid of keeping that bat on your shoulder. Be afraid of being mediocre. Be afraid of playing it safe. That's scary. Not everyone will like you. I'm not saying go out and be obnoxious, be over the top, shove your energy on other people. That's gross. Have some discernment. But if all you're doing is showing up as yourself, that's everything. Not everyone will like you. And that is okay. If you're too loud, you're too driven, you're too emotional, you're too opinionated. Girl, I have been told it all. And I know because I have tested the waters and I spent so many years in this business trying to figure out how to just be well liked by everybody. And it is actually impossible. It is so impossible. And the reality is, the less I showed up as myself, the less impact I was able to have. That is what's true. And I see this. There's like all sorts of women that I admire in the space, and I watch them and I see the moment. I'm like, ooh, the internet got to them. The comment section got to them. The PR team got to them. Like, oh, they're too loud. Oh, they're too this. Oh, they're too that. Now they're trying to like add context to everything and give a frame of reference and they're losing themselves. They are losing what made them special. I wrote this in Girl Stop Apologizing, which is a great book for anyone who needs to stand more confidently in themselves, if I do say so myself. But I wrote this in that book that I refuse to make myself smaller. I refuse to show up as half myself just because you can't handle all of me. I promise you will find your people if you have the courage to show up in a way that they can find you. But yeah, I am nerdy. I am excitable. I am naive still. I still have this Pollyanna heart about things. And I think that it's what makes me unique. It's how I built the things that I built. It's how Rise Conference happened. It's how Girl Wash Your Face. It's like everything cool I ever did. Nobody got, but I really loved it. And I felt so passionate about it. And I was like, I'm going to do this thing. And I found my people. So yeah, I can't care. I am too much, but only for people who are boring. Fourth thing, I can no longer care about what other people think of my body. I just cannot care. And I am saying this in both directions. Like, I can't care if people think that I put on a little weight, and I can't care if you think I'm too thin. I can't care. This is not just something that I deal with as a person who has a public platform. This is something that every woman I know deals with. Like, everybody I know has had some experience of someone in her life commenting on her body and how it's not right. And I just cannot care. I've talked to y'all about this before. I grew up in such a closed-minded, prudish, conservative environment. and that takes a while to shed. So it's taken me a long time to get comfortable being naked, like being naked in front of my husband, and just like, it's so crazy, but it took me a very long time to get to that place. And I'm way better than I used to be. I can change in like a locker room and not feel embarrassed. I know some of you are like, girl, what? I get it. Not everybody has these hangups, but I definitely have experienced it in my life. But I'm just at a place where I'm like, this is what it is. I was at the gym this morning. The gym I go to, there are a lot of very body confident, body positive women, every body type you can imagine. And they are just naked as the day they were born. They're doing their hair, they're doing their makeup, they're just fully nude, everything out. As a side note, so often I want to stop and tell women that they have really good boobs. I would never. But are you ever at the gym and you see someone and you're like, congratulations? Especially when it's someone who's like younger. And I'm like, I bet that she doesn't understand how fabulous her boobs are. I'm not going to tell her, obviously. I'm not going to comment on her body. But in my head, I'm like, good for you. I hope you just enjoy those. I hope you take them out for a ride. I hope someone motorboats them at least once. Like, I just hope you're really enjoying those boobs. I'm getting off course, as usual. In the gym, all the women naked, naked, naked. Today I walk in and I have not seen this before. And my first instinct was like, holy crap. I've laughed about it like 25 times. And then I'm like, you know what? Look at her just being in her body. There's like the way that you dry yourself with a towel. Let's say you just got out of the shower. You dry yourself when you're alone. And there's a way you dry yourself with a towel in front of others. And sister friend, she said, I don't care that there's 100 people around. I'm going to get in there. I'm talking in the labia with the towel, like fully in her business, just scrubbing it out. I was like, I have just walked into this. I haven't even worked out. This is a lot for me. But, God love her. She did not care. She was like, no one else, it wasn't about them. It was about her. And it's sort of similar to the parenting thing. Like, you waste so much energy trying to look in a way that other people will accept or like. You've got to feel good in your own skin. You've got to acknowledge your body for what it's done, what it can do, what it is still doing. My body has been through a lot, good and bad. And I want to work to make it the healthiest version it can possibly be. But I cannot care what someone else thinks about how it looks. I just can't. And I encourage you to adopt the same philosophy. Last thing, number 5, what I can no longer care about. What is trending? Oh, what? I have no idea. I literally have no idea. And if I actually paid attention to what is trending in music or style, or you know what I'd find? The same stuff that was trending when I was in high school. It's all cyclical. I know every new generation, I'm sure it was the same way, but every new generations think they invented something. No, it's happened, it's done. And the whole thing with a trend is that they go away. And I'm just not interested in it on any level. I'm sort of a terrible stylish person for Instagram because all my stuff's the same stuff. Like, how many times have I worn the same denim jacket in my podcast reels? How many times have I worn the same leather jacket, the same blazer, the same blue sweater? I have the same stuff from forever. I'm still rocking the flannel that I wore on the cover of Upscale Down Home, which is my cookbook, if you didn't know that. That is so old. The flannel was old before I wore it on the cover. And I don't know, 9 years later, 8 years later, I still rock that flannel. Like, I just can't care about a trend. It's exhausting and it's stupid. And I feel like it's a waste of money. Like, oh, if you don't have this trend, you're like missing out. I'm like, of what? Of who? Every person that I've ever admired, like, they weren't wearing a trend. They were wearing something classic. They were wearing something iconic. They were wearing pieces that they've had for, 25 years. Trends are designed to make you feel like you are behind, so you will spend money to get involved with them. I have no idea. I have no idea. Like, every once in a while, something will come into my awareness. Like, there was a thing for a minute. This is so old. You guys are going to be like, wow, you really don't know trends. But there was a thing where it was like, clean girl beauty is out and mafia wife trend is. What are you girls talking about? Here's the thing. If you are listening to this and you are like, oh, Rach, I love a trend. I love it's so exciting. I get to get dressed, makes me feel great. Do it. Snaps to you, Sister Lou. Do it. We love that. Do it, do it, do it. Do whatever makes you feel good. But if you, like me, see things trending and like you might have any sort of tinge of, oh, dang, am I like behind the time because I'm not wearing jorts? No. First of all, jorts were, nope, we don't want. We're not jort people. Maybe you are. What is your body? It's not my body. It's not 3 kids and a booty for days. That's going to make me look like a nightmare. All I'm saying is, don't buy into this myth that if you're not on trend, you're out of fashion. No. The classics will always be classic. Trends are cyclical. Trends are not real. I have no idea what's trending right now in any capacity. I don't know the songs that are trending. I don't know none of it. And, it's all going to be okay. So I can't care. I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm going to hope it finds its way forward. It always has. I assume it always will. And I don't need to worry myself with one more thing to care about. This was the new Friday episode and a little Friday fun for you guys. I hope you dug it. If you liked this episode, will you consider sharing it on social if you just thought it was fun? And I do want to tell you, Monday's episode is really good. Yes, you'll have a pep talk on Sunday always. I'm pretty pumped about Monday's episode. It's called Transform Your Life by the End of Summer. How's that for a title? But it was a bunch of tactical things that you can do, that we can do as a community to make sure that we are showing up, that we are evolving, that we are changing by the end of summer. The end of summer, 90 days. You know how I feel about a 90-day challenge. I think you guys are going to love this one. Please make sure you check back on Monday for that episode. It's going to be fantastic. We will be back soon with more of this fun conversation. I appreciate you. Producer Jack appreciates you. Andrew, our editor, we all really appreciate you showing up for us. We will continue to show up for you. Until then, as always, I love you and I'm rooting for you. The Rachel Hollis Podcast is produced by me, Rachel Hollis. It's edited by Andrew Weller and Jack Noble.
Hi there, it's Andy Richter, and I'm here to tell you about my podcast, The 3 Questions with Andy Richter. Each week, I invite friends, comedians, actors, and musicians to discuss these 3 questions. Where do you come from? Where are you going? And what have you learned? New episodes are out every Tuesday with guests like Julie Bowen, Ted Danson, Tig Notaro, Will Arnett, Phoebe Bridgers, and more. You can also tune in for my weekly Andy Richter Call-In Show episodes, where me and a special guest invite callers to weigh in on topics like dating disasters, bad teachers, and lots more. Listen to The 3 Questions with Andy Richter wherever you get your podcasts.
When living with cancer, it's important to be informed and know what to expect. But finding the right information can feel overwhelming. That's why UnderstandCancerTogether.com is here to help. We've gathered practical information and resources based on where you are in your cancer journey, so that you can focus on the important conversations and decisions of today. UnderstandCancerTogether.com, helping you navigate life with cancer one moment at a time.